It's a remarkable thing that happens in the life of a young person to see them transform their lives to reaching out to help others.
Greater Philadelphia, 2011.
Pennsylvania-Pittsburgh Mission, 07.
Oakland, California Mission, 2005.
Ireland, Dublin, 2001.
Washington, D.C. Corps, 2012.
Teach for America, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Both organizations feature a rigorous 2-year service opportunity for young people. But what is each experience really like? My name is Kendall Christensen. I'm 27 years old and a native of Utah, and I've done both. This film will be to try to answer that question. So let's get started. Teach for America recruits high-achieving college graduates who go through an intense selection process involving submitting a resume, going through several stages of interviews, giving a live 5-minute example lesson, and filling out online coursework that includes indicating which region, subject, and grade level they'd be willing to teach. If a candidate is accepted, they're assigned to one of 46 geographic regions with a tentative grade level and subject. Before they begin teaching, Corps members are sent to Institute for 5 weeks, an intense boot camp experience where they are taught how to teach their assigned subject. Once in the field, Corps members work at their assigned school as teachers. They spend that time teaching classes, grading papers, setting big goals with their students, meeting with superiors about those goals, working with parents and school leaders, and spending a lot of time lesson planning. Like, really a lot. Like, a lot of time. Like, weekends gone for the first year, guaranteed. Thereby altering their life trajectories and closing the educational achievement gap. Once a member is of missionary age, age 18 to 26, they can fill out their mission papers, consisting of medical information, worthiness interviews, willingness to learn a foreign language, and things like how they're going to pay for their mission. Once the papers are turned into the church, the missionary is then called to serve, by inspiration, to one of the 400 missions around the world. Before they arrive in their region of service, a missionary is sent to the Missionary Training Center, a spiritual boot camp of sorts, where they learn to teach the gospel and converse in their mission language. Once in the region, a missionary spends their time studying, serving, finding people to teach, working with local members, and teaching investigators in the hopes that they'll join the church with the eventual goal of bringing as many souls unto Christ and building His kingdom as possible.
Multitasking is really important. And I don't necessarily mean like you're doing one thing with one hand and one thing with another hand at the same time, but just this idea of being able to think about different things at once or kind of manage multiple tasks.
To be considered successful by TFA, you need an insane level of dedication and produce insane amounts of crazy things, which is why I was not terribly successful according to TFA.
It requires a lot of dedication, a lot. Like, there are rough days where you don't even want to get out of bed, but apart from your job, it is a commitment that you make to yourself and to students and to the communities that you serve. So it requires a lot, like beyond words, I feel.
It takes a lot of self-discipline. It's not always easy to be away from family and to not be able to go ahead and turn the radio on. It's not always easy to get doors slammed in your face, to have people cuss you out on the street or throw things at you, to be threatened. It takes a lot of inner strength and relying really on my peers, other missionaries, and most importantly, Jesus Christ.
A successful missionary forgets all of the things that are distracting to young people today, and they concentrate on the people that they teach, the people to love them, to assist them, to serve.
A lot of my students have never had educators that cared all that much. You know, they need some support and they need some stability. So the fact that even though I could be a really mediocre teacher, you know, it's my second year, I'm still learning a lot, I still have absolutely not mastered anything, but the fact that I can provide some structure and support and stability to their lives, I think is incredibly important. And you can see the impact of that almost immediately.
I know I've at least incited a curiosity in a few students. I can't say that applies to everyone, but if it only means that it's for my class right now, I feel like I've at least incited that curiosity.
Students may not have life-changing stand and deliver, freedom riders type experiences with a successful TFA teacher, and they probably won't. Those are rare and they're jazzed up for Hollywood. But at least in personal experience, like the students that I've touched the most are just the ones that have said, "Hey, Moorhead, you don't let us slide. You make us learn something." And they didn't say, "Oh, you've inspired me to greatness and new heights, and now I've won 6 competitions." But just that, knowing that there's somebody who won't let them slide, who will make them learn something, who will make them use their brains, and give them the chance to appreciate something that they haven't before. That's how I measure the success. That's not TFA style, by the way. People watching this video.
I think that it makes a huge difference, and it makes a difference in all different areas. I worked in a local library where we helped them to, as they were remodeling the library, we helped them to move all the books. It was a huge project, but it was a very small thing, like a small community library, but we were able to help them to do that. And so, in the grand scheme of things, it was a small thing, but I know that it meant a lot to them. And I think that that's how missionary work really is. It's a million small things that, in the grand scheme of everything, they're very, very small and seemingly insignificant, but to individuals, it means everything.
And we're able to change people's lives. One guy went on a mission to Mexico, but he was on a road to nowhere, big time. It was rewarding to see him go from a guy that was in trouble to a guy who serves the Lord on a mission for 2 years in Mexico and brings peace to these people. And then he comes home and gets educated and becomes a doctor, and that happens all the time, and that's really gratifying.
You start out so awful and just so frustrated, and then you remember that you're not allowed to fail.
I would really like people to know that this is not an easy thing to do. People say it all the time, this is going to be the hardest thing you ever do in your life, but in all honesty, it is, and it's not cheery all the time. A lot of times it's not. There are no directions. TFA will not hold your hand every single day. They make it sound like they do, but they don't. So just have that in mind when you do decide to make this commitment.
Teach for America is not a perfect institution, but has provided me with a wonderful opportunity that I have endless thanks for.
It's bittersweet. You build a relationship with your students for 2 years, and then for some of us, life moves on, and a part of you is left behind.
To see joy and happiness and peace come into their lives. To see their lives have direction.
Knocking on doors all day long, or the street that you planned to go knock on doors, you picked on a map, and you get there after walking miles in the heat, and it's a set of stairs instead of a street.
Being a missionary is sharing your heart and soul every day.
The mission is letting everybody know that they matter.
So a mission for me is knocking on 100 doors, hoping that someone would just open a door and accept the gospel that we share.
The mission is leaving Tonga to come here and learn English.
Being a missionary is the smile on the congregation's face when you're first talking a foreign language. You switch the word for sin and peach.
Being a missionary is sitting in church a year after having taught somebody who accepted the church and is baptized, and the person gets up in the church meeting and she says, I just wanted to thank Elder Hancock publicly for coming and serving a mission and for listening to God. If he hadn't, I just wouldn't be a part of this family. And to me, that's what being a missionary is.